The idea of this startup, meetup is to ignite your AI startup. You know, it's day one of your AI startup is today. What do you do? What do you do to move forward? Okay, so let me go ahead. So who am I? A little bit about me. I'm Liat Hoffman. I'm the founder of DevOpser, which is a side passion project that I started working on 4 years ago and has now launched a hosting application to AWS Marketplace. I'm just got my first customer. I was telling Valerie, in case you want to connect with me on X, I'm at Liat Hoffman, or you can connect with me on LinkedIn as well. I'm also on Threads. I think that's it for me in terms of socials. But if you are interested in seeing me vibe code a B2C app and follow that, you can follow what's happening on X or on Threads. On Threads, I'm at Liat IRL. I should have put that. All right, so what's the 10 things you need to do? It's day one of your startup, your AI startup. What are the 10 things you need to do? The first scenario, you have to come up with a hypothesis for your AI app, right? And then you need to go to your market and you need to talk to them. This is what I've learned. When I first built DevOpser, I built it just like with my head in a computer, just coding in Terraform. And I was thinking about it for a customer, for enterprise vendors and subsidiaries. And I had an idea of who my customer was, but I wasn't in meetings with them. And then when I launched my platform, it was crickets, no one cared. And that's why I've gone on now to do DevOps or App Factory. And I, have tried various different things. Now I have a customer. So it's important to actually go to market and talk to people and not just build and pray. Because you can put in a lot of time and effort into something, launch something you really love, and then like no one wants or needs it. And because the cost of development is so low now because of AI agents, the challenge is actually distribution. Distribution of your product is a much harder challenge than even producing your product. So better to try to solve that distribution challenge as early as possible. For example, your hypothesis in this deck, our hypothesis is you decide to help students learn more efficiently, and you arrange meeting with 30 students and you listen to all their pain points and you get answers like, I spend hours searching for practice questions and they're never tailored to my syllabus. Or by the time I get answers, it's too late to fix my mistakes. Or I wish I had a tutor I could ping anytime. You actually gather that feedback and use that to reveal the actual pain points. And your application should be trying to solve someone's real pain points, not just something that you guess. So my recommendation is talk to your market, set up actual meetings with them, talk to people and hear what they're really saying, and then base your AI app concept on the real conversations you've had with your market. Any ideas, any thoughts here? Any questions before we move on? All right.
No, it's okay. Yeah.
So step 2, day 1 of your startup. You got to analyze all of the information that you gathered from talking to people and map it to an AI application. Like that's actually going to do something. So the pain point that you've identified after analyzing all of that is that there's no real-time personalized feedback on students' work. So they're doing these practice questions, and no one's there saying, "Oh, you're doing a good job," or "You're doing a bad job." No one's giving them real actionable feedback on their practice essays or whatever. So you come up with a hypothesis, an AI solution for a chatbot that generates topic-focused quizzes on demands, gives step-by-step accurate explanations backed by course materials with no hallucinations. So you don't want the chatbot to be making up fake information for students. We want to make sure that it's good quality information that is actually backed by sources in the student's own lectures and course material. And most AI is 80% similar. So you have to figure out what is the most important key features that I want. And you want to really think about what are those key core features, because AI apps are really similar to each other. And if you have it's like you could have a knowledge base of for example, coursework, and you can retrieve that. And then you also have MCP and agents that are tools that you can give to an AI agent on your application that give it the power to do things like search the web or connect to a SharePoint site or connect to your Google Drive or, whatever the case may be. So you want to think about, what is your knowledge base that you're going to be basing your AI app on? And what are the tools that your AI agents are going to need? And that combination creates a very powerful AI tool that's actually very simple to build. And I've actually built templates that are 80% complete already for this purpose. So you don't start from scratch. You just start from like 80% complete, and then you can do very little custom work and actually produce something that's an MVP, that's a prototype for your market very, very quickly. All right, next slide. Wireframe your app. I know that sounds silly. I'm not an artistic person per se. I come from an engineering background, and if you have been looking at some of the work that I've done, you can see a lot of the UIs that I make are AI generated, and something that is not great. But even honestly, a napkin drawing of what you want your onboarding to look like, what you want your quiz dashboard to look like, what you want your chat interface to look like, what you want your progress tracker to look like, even just a handwritten drawing, you can give that to your AI coding agents to actually implement what you've just drawn. So having just some kind of reference to give to AI agents that they can use in order to bring your vision to life can be very, very helpful. And also it helps you to wireframe the app and actually have simple visuals that are simple boxes for each screen with just arrows for flow. And this can help you to visualize what your application will actually look and feel like. Then you want to rapidly prototype the wireframe. So in the case of DevOpser, there's a browser-based IDE and templates that are, like I said, 80% complete. So you can log in to your browser-based IDE. You can install whatever coding AI agent you like. In my case, I've been using Claude Code recently. It works amazingly well. But you could use Codex. You can use, I think that Gemini just got into the CLI game. There are also VSC. It's the IDE in the browser is actually Visual Studio Code, and you can install any Visual Studio Code extension. So Microsoft Copilot, I think Claude Code also has an extension, and there's just hundreds and hundreds of these AI apps. So it's whatever you want to work with. And then you basically, you spin up a fresh template workspace. It gives you full GitOps just out of the box. You launch your development environment and log in. You clone your template code from GitHub into your environment. You install your AI coding agent of choice. And then you start interacting with the AI coding agent in natural language. The format that I found works the best in my platform is to look at the components that already exist and already working and say to the AI coding agent, hey, do you see how we've implemented login here in login? I would like to modify that to, do X, Y, and Z. And basically, you're either modifying something that already exists or you're using something that already exists as a reference for a kind of implementation. So I'm building a B2C app that I've worked on only for a few days and been vibe coding it. And in my original template, there's a conversation history function in a PostgreSQL database. But in my new little fairy tale app, I was able to say, hey, look at the conversation history functionality and make a story library, because the concept behind the app is it generates delightful fairy tales for children based on a few inputs, right? And it worked so well. I was able to, the first time I implemented it for the template, took me days and days and days to get conversation history working correctly. But because it was already there, it took just a matter of minutes to code that library functionality. So the better you know the templates and the reference code, the faster and the better the vibe coding goes. And you can turn something around very, very quickly. And then there's also view my app endpoint. So anytime you have your app running in dev, you just go to this endpoint and you can basically see what the app feels and looks like. When it's in a good state, you can promote it to staging by just merging it into the staging branch. And when everything's working in staging exactly the way you want, staging is a perfect mirror of production. So that's the next point, which is you want to test everything in staging. Just because something's working in development doesn't mean it's going to work in staging. You have some considerations in staging. Yes, Baruch, go ahead.
I'm talking about a specific tool that I can use, or you're taking in general idea about the way, the flow of the work?
I'm talking in general about how to work, but I do have a platform that supports all of this out of the box. So
Can you
just
suggest about sort of
this
platform?
is my brief commercial break for my platform here. I'll show it to you. App.devopser.io. So this is my platform. It's AI hosting and development by DevOpser. You can basically spin up a website in just a single click very, very quickly. Here, let me quickly log in. Da-da-da. So when I'm talking about these methodologies, this is what I would do in general, but DevOpser just lets you do everything out of the box in one place. You don't have to worry about it. All the infrastructure set up for you, and you can get up and running, iterating on your coding your AI app within 1 hour. And you have a production, a staging, you have a development environment, it's all integrated with AWS Bedrock, and it's very cool. And if you're interested, I would give you like a month or two of free time on the platform so you can just test it out. If you want,
Okay.
let me know. The difference between DevOpser and some of these other platforms is that under the hood of DevOpser is 4 years of enterprise compliance requirements built in at the Terraform level. So when you succeed, when you actually build something that gets a lot of traffic and you have a lot of interest and you know you catch lightning in a bottle, at that point you don't have to then start worrying about security. Everything will be secure out of the box without you having to worry about it. And so it just expedites the VC due diligence, enterprise due diligence. That exit path for your startup is just smoothed through. So Fairytale Genie is a project that I've been working on for an accelerator with Paddle Launchpad. And you can see, for example, I've got my browser-based IDE that comes with a password I can log into right here. And it's a browser that you can access actually through, it's a browser you can access, it's an integrated development environment, IDE, you can access through the browser. So, and you can lock this down to just the IP addresses that you want. And so, if I'm like, this is where I have my, my code, just to show you how easy it is to use. It's really, really, it's like kind of fun to just play around on it, honestly, because it's very satisfying. You can code something very, very quickly. Terminal, new terminal. And I'm just using Claude code. So if I type in Claude and I can just say, I can just say, wait, on staging branch, make the login blue. And it will just go off and do that for me. And then I can run the app and view the app from the browser as well. So it's very easy to use, and you can use whatever coding agent you like. And it's if you want to go check out, you have a staging environment. So this is my Create Your Fairytale app. I built this in really 2 days, my friends. 2 days I built this prototype. I know it looks crappy. Doesn't look good yet, but it works really well. If I want to have like a story about dragons for my boy Tom, who's a boy, and he's 6 years old, and I want to do it in rhyming verse, and I want to say kindness is important, like a nice little. I came up with the idea for the app with my 6-year-old son, Gil, because he was like, "Mommy, tell me a story about lava. Tell me a story about hamburgers," and I'm not so creative. So I was going to ChatGPT and being like, tell me a story about hamburgers, and then reading it to him from ChatGPT, and he loved it. He would like fall asleep right afterwards. And it was such a joyful experience. I was like, let me just build a little AI app to prove the concept of my hosting platform. So now it's generating my story. And then now my story's ready. Now, right now I'm putting in the infrastructure for the image generation. So you'll be able to easily like have nice, beautiful images that relate to the story. But you can see that it has, Tom loved to play in the sun, under the trees, he would run. It took a little bit of finagling of the prompts to make sure that it came out at an age appropriate level so far. These images will be in there soon. And you can see right here, we have a nice little library for the previous 7 days and the other ones from today and the yesterday. I just on production, I put just a waiting list, right? Because I don't want to launch it yet. I want to like make it look nicer than it looks kind of crappy because I just worked on it for 2 days, but it will be very quick. And this is a nice little wait list. And this wait list, I can use this and these pricing and terms pages to get approval for Paddle. Paddle is the the people who are doing the launchpad I'm with, and I want to use them for payments on the site to prove that could integrate with them. So that's something I've been working on. What I'm saying is that if I can do it, if I can vibe code something in a few days that looks so nice, and I'm like confident that I can deliver this functional AI app SaaS in the next week or two, because there's so much scaffolding and it's so easy to use. If I can do it, anybody can do it. I'm purposefully not saying technically things when I prompt Claude Code. I'm saying things like, I would like a library and just letting it do it. Like you don't have to be technical to do it. But my first customer on my platform, she has no technical background, but she's a linguist, and her dad invented this new way of teaching kids languages. And me and her, actually 10 years ago in another life, I worked at a religious school. I was a religious school principal in the States, if you can believe that, before I got into tech. And we worked together at this Hebrew school, and she implemented this Hebrew program. And we're turning it into an app. We're turning this thing we did that was a huge success at this one little religious school in San Diego, in Poway. We're turning that into an app. And she can do it, even though she's not technical, which is like it's a new age. It's crazy. I'm meeting with her later tonight. Okay, so let me continue with this slideshow. So to test in staging is so easy. On my platform, all you have to do is just merge it into staging, and it will trigger a GitHub Actions workflow that automatically deploys it in staging. And staging is a perfect mirror of production. So any constraints that you have on staging will be exactly the same as in production. It means that you can test changes. You can have like what I have, where I have a waiting list or some kind of like building page up on production while you're iterating on your app on staging. And there's a lot of flexibility there. And just so you know, one gap in my platform is I don't have log visibility for staging and production yet available to the users, but I'm working on that, and hopefully we'll have that launched within the next week or two. So you'll be able to see the logs from your own staging and production sites directly in the console, which will of course help you with debugging and that kind of thing. That was something I overlooked. This is what I'm saying is, when you're your own customer, you forget what other people need. But the cool thing is that we can change things and adapt things, which is nice. All right. Now, purchasing and associating your custom URL, you could see for Fairytale Genie that it was at fairytalegenie.com, not fairytalegenie.devops or .io. That's because it's super easy to buy and connect a custom domain, which by the way is a huge plus, because if you are the kind of person who has customers who have, like what I have, like my customer has a framework for teaching languages, or you have an author maybe who wants to publish a nonfiction book, but they want people to be able, they want to get the revenue from people using AI with their book. So you're building them, for example, an app that's based on their book as a knowledge base and gives people an interactive experience with that book to query that book for, and then that author can direct payments directly to themselves. I really see this as the future of publishing, because people think that everyone wants to just go to ChatGPT and Claude and these big providers for authors, but I think people want to support the authors. People want the money to go to the people who wrote the information. People want to support the people. The reason people are buying books is to support those authors. So if you give people an opportunity and a way to interact with information that they have generated via AI, and you allow them to monetize it at their own custom URL, I think there's a huge upside there for getting money to the creators of this information. And you also get SSL auto provisioned. And it's all on Kubernetes. The backend is all on Kubernetes, and it's configured for auto scaling. So you're like ready for prime time on my platform once you get traffic. And if not, you have me there to fix anything that goes wrong. So, we'll learn together. Okay, subscriptions. It's very, very easy to integrate either the Flask or the Node.js template with Paddle or Stripe or Square or whatever you're already using for payments. You just want to get the documentation from your site, give it to your coding agent, say, here's the documentation for how to implement payments, and just implement it. And I have the ability to pass a secret string in something called additional secrets. So you can create any secrets for third-party API keys and secret information and put that into an AWS Secret Manager secret, and then just retrieve the JSON and only get those values, the secret values at runtime for your application. So you don't have to like hard code your Stripe API key or anything crazy like that. So everything is secure from the ground up. And once your subscription is set up and your app is set up and live, guess what? Your live app, your live AI app, it exists. It's totally achievable. And then obviously you want to return back to this market, to the people who you actually spoke to at the beginning, who you were serving, whose pain points you're solving. Get the app into their hands, say, did this solve your pain points? And iterate with them forward to refine what the app experience actually is. And that is having an app. Having an app is just having it and then trying to make it into something that people actually want to use and make a daily part of their lives. And if you do all of these things, you could have an AI app. I believe that you could go from 0 to 30, assuming you have a payment provider like Paddle or Stripe that you already have a relationship with already, because I know those evaluations can take some time to get approval. But assuming you have a payment partner that you can already work with, you could have a functional AI app, vibe coded, production ready, and ready for prime time up in like, I would say 10 to 30 days, depending on how complex you would want to make it. And then you can be like living your dream. And my goal is with DevOps's App Factory is to get that like timeline just lower and lower and lower. So it's just easier and easier and easier to produce these apps and iterate with them. And then it's just a matter of finding your market, working with them, and figuring out, digital marketing and that sort of thing. So the end or the beginning. You can make this plan that I just went through happen. If I can do it on Fairy Tale Genie, you can do it too. So if you are interested, this is a one-time offer. If you want, you can just DM me on Meetups or X LinkedIn, and I will hook you up with free hosting for a month, and you'll get access to this free dedicated EC2-based, browser-based IDE. You can test it all out yourself, and the application code belongs to you. So even if you don't want to use DevOps for hosting, you just want to develop something on DevOps for a month and then take that code somewhere else, you can do that too. You're more than welcome to do that.